Rogers TV, North Durham, Kawartha.
Welcome to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Jackie Hermans. We have an amazing show in store for you today, so you want to make sure you keep on watching. We'll be talking to MPP Robin Martin, who is the Parliamentary Assistant for the Minister of Health. We'll be talking about flu shots, those COVID booster shots, and whether we can expect another potential mask mandate coming up. We'll also talk to Edward Henry of Edward Henry Company, who has broke not one, but 2 podcast world records, and for an amazing cause. Lakeridge Health is going to be on the show, and we're talking about their emergency room wait time tracker and when you should actually venture into the emergency room and when you shouldn't. So make sure you keep on watching. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Van Bilsen, host of Photos and Travel, where we bring the world to your doorstep. In our next episode, we'll visit the magical land of South Korea, where we'll discover temples, lots of history, and some spectacular scenery. Join us right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. With me on the show is MPP Robin Martin, who is the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Health. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jackie. I'm delighted to be here with you.
So we're going to talk about a couple of things today. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about the flu shot campaign, and then we're going to talk about COVID-19 booster shots. So tell me about the flu shot campaign. What is this and why is it important to get your flu shot?
Right. Well, I think everybody may know, I hope they know, that every year we run a flu shot campaign. And we certainly recommend that everybody avail themselves of the opportunity to get free flu shots. Anyone 6 months of age and over can get a flu shot. And we seem to be having, a rise in those kind of influenza cases. I think Dr. Moore had mentioned we have 18 patients, unfortunately, in ICUs who are ventilated just with influenza right now. So there is a way to prevent, having a bad outcome with flu, and that is to try to get the flu shot. And now is the time to do it. The flu season seems to have been starting a bit earlier this year. We want to make sure, where possible, that we keep people healthy and out of hospital. And having a flu shot is really the best way to do that.
So is it more important now with our, let's say, our immune systems being lower, with wearing masks, with hand sanitization? And is that why people are more so being affected by the flu these days?
I think maybe there is something to that. Obviously, a doctor would have to opine as to the causes. But we have been staying home, we have been wearing masks and things like that for the past few years. So I think obviously there would be maybe some immunity that maybe is lacking because we haven't exposed ourselves to germs for a while. That probably doesn't help. But every year we do get a flu season. Sometimes they're worse than other years. And every year we recommend that people get the flu vaccine as the best possible way to stay healthy and out of hospital. And I think everybody knows that that's important right now because, our health system has been under strain, facing some challenges with the pandemic and the results of that.
Now let's talk, thank you, Robin. Let's talk about the COVID-19 booster shots. So
Sure.
more and more people have been getting COVID. I thought I must be immune. And then finally Thanksgiving hit and I got COVID and I'm just seeing more and more people are getting it. If you have had COVID, and is that going to boost your immune system? Do you need a booster if you've had COVID? Let's say you've had COVID twice. Do you still need to get a booster?
Right. Well, I'm like you, Jackie. I was super immune and never got COVID until very recently. And around the end of September, I got COVID. I don't know where I got it, but I got it. And so I was home for 10 days getting well and trying to work from home. So the thing is, every type of immunity that you can get, immunity that you get when you get COVID, and immunity that you get when you get your vaccines for COVID, it does wane over time. So what we want to do is make sure that people have ongoing immunity. And so when you've had COVID, you really should talk to your doctor about when you can get your next booster. But I would say plan to get your next booster as soon as your doctor says it's okay. I've heard doctors say on TV, when I've heard them speaking, around 3 months is a good period of time, but I would talk to your doctor. Obviously, everyone's individual health conditions also factor into that. But the idea of getting the booster is to give your immunity a boost. So even if you've had COVID, you're going to need a boost. If you've had COVID twice, you're still going to need a boost at some point.
And is that because there's different strains out there, so you don't know what strain you actually contracted? And so if you get a booster, you can get a little bit of the other strains to be able to help boost you up?
Yes, and I think that it's also just that immunity wanes. Whatever immunity you have wanes over time. And so over time, you need to give that immunity a pump. And for most people, it's infinitely better just to get a little needle in the arm, their booster, than it is to expose themselves to COVID again and risk getting quite ill.
Now, I understand you're not a doctor, so you might not be able to answer this question, but I thought I'd give it a try. So what I have heard is that once you have COVID, for about 60 to 90 days after your immune system has increased. So if, let's say, I just had COVID and then I came in contact with someone else with COVID, does that mean that it could still be in my system? And even if I don't get the symptoms of COVID, I could still be passing it around to other people because I was exposed to someone else?
I don't know. That is a pretty complicated question. I think I would have to defer to a doctor on that one, Jackie. I'm sorry.
Okay, my apologies.
I really don't know the answer to that. I think the doctors are still trying to work out the transmission themselves and how that works. I don't think that you would be transmitting in that, but I'm guessing.
Okay. So we don't have much time left, but I would love to ask this. With the increase in, or the decrease in available hospital beds and the increase in the traffic within the emergency rooms, is there a particular tipping point that we could get to where we're like, we need to get that mask mandate going on, or a potential lockdown? Is that still being looked at, or are we just simply trying to live with COVID and not even thinking about going that route?
Yeah, well, Dr. Moore said, who's our Chief Medical Officer of Health here in Ontario, said that, we have to learn to live with COVID. And we're in a much different situation now with a lot of the population. I think 90% of us have at least had some vaccine for COVID. And so we're in a much different situation now than we were historically. Don't forget, we've also added 3,500 beds to the hospital system. And right now, there's no issue with hospital beds across the system. Beds are available. And we don't anticipate, I don't think that we're going to be in the kind of situation that we were before. But the best way for people to stay out of hospital is to get those vaccines in a timely way, especially over the next few weeks as the flu season is starting to ramp up, get that flu vaccine. And if you have an opportunity as well, you can get your COVID vaccine at the same time. Unless you're waiting because you've had COVID recently, like Jackie and I. But everybody could get those vaccines, and that's the best thing they can do to stay out of hospital, and that will help our system.
Thank you so much, Robin. It was wonderful to have you on the show. We'll be back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Your visit isn't really necessary.
I'll judge for myself.
I know you're an MP, Miss McPhail, but a woman has never...
I am not leaving till I do. How can such a society be called civilized? If those appalling conditions don't change, that prison will explode!
Perhaps our lone lady member is too fragile to know what is normal in a prison.
Is this normal?
Her courage would lead to the overhaul of the entire Canadian penal system. Agnes McPhail, Canada's first woman MP.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So now with me on the show is Elan Langa, who is the Chief Information Officer for Lakeridge Health. Elan, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jackie. Nice to be here.
So we are talking about hospital wait times. And I understand, just like Oak Ridge, you have a tracker. So it tracks wait times. But your system is a little bit different. Do you want to explain how yours works? And we'll go into future stuff as well.
All right, sounds great. So at Lakeridge Health, we have 4 EDs, 4 emergency departments.
Okay.
And each one at any given time can have a different wait time. And so what we wanted to do is, first of all, to help improve the patient experience, give people some information about what they can expect with their wait time, should they not have a life-threatening or very urgent problem. So just to be clear with the public, if you have a life-threatening problem, there is no wait. But if you have a non-life-threatening problem, then there is a wait in the waiting room, and this gives people some understanding of what that wait would be to help manage their expectations and their understanding of what to expect in the emergency room. But by publishing information on all 4 of our EDs, and giving them prominence on our website right next to each other, people can actually make some decisions for themselves about potentially going to a different ED in our region, should the wait times be different. We can't predict at the beginning of a shift what the volumes will be like, so this gives the public some information about how our different EDs are doing.
Now, because wait times are going to be based on the number of people that are in the waiting room, as well as how many doctors are available, what type of information is available on that wait time tracker in order for people to make those choices?
You're right. All those factors go into what will affect the wait time, but ultimately they all lead to a change in wait time. And so what we've done with our tracker is, first of all, we recalculate that wait time every 15 minutes based on the preceding 4 hours. So it's a dynamic number. And we provide a trend, some information about trend. So that there are arrows going up if the wait time is worsening over our calculations, down if it's been improving, and then stable if it's been the same for several calculation cycles. So people can get a sense of, is this likely to be longer or shorter by the time I arrive?
Okay, beautiful. Almost like a heart rate.
Exactly.
This is where we're going here. I love that. Now, do you have any ideas of how you might want to adapt this in the near future to make it even more souped up and awesome?
Right. So right now you have information about the 4 different EDs. And as I say, if you have a non-life-threatening problem, that gives you an opportunity to pick which ED is best going to serve your needs. But what we did previously and want to reinvigorate is our individualized wait time system. So just prior to COVID, we launched a pilot in our Bowmanville ED about providing people with individualized wait time upon arrival, which was an artificial intelligence system that we built along with the help from the AI lab at Durham College, which actually looked at our factors in the ED exactly as you described, historical factors and external factors, as well as the chief complaint of the person arriving, and calculated an individualized wait time. Wow. We then gave some situational awareness information on electronic board in the ED to say how well we were doing with those predictions, but it gave people more than just an average for the last 4 hours. It gave them a prediction individually based on factors affecting them. And so we are rebuilding all of that again and with our new modern clinical information system so that we can reintroduce this, which was a very positive patient experience pilot that we did. And so we know that the public would want to see us do it again.
Oh, that's beautiful. And what has been the response with the way your system is working right now?
Overwhelmingly positive. I think this is something that we have heard the public wants for some time. And it not just took us some time to figure out how to do technically, but we also wanted to make sure that we had the right communication strategy so that people would understand that if they have life-threatening problems, we want to see them at their nearest emergency room and not to be influenced by these. But we've taken the approach that we want to improve the patient experience, as I mentioned before, and really it's about trusting our public that they will understand this information correctly and use it wisely. And I think our philosophy is to be transparent about this. I think the public knows that wait times have not been what we'd like them to be, but we want to be transparent, arm people with that information, and trust them to use it wisely.
Beautiful. Okay, so if people want to access this tracker to determine which hospital they're going to go to, where should they go?
So the easiest place to get to it is at our website, which is www.lh.ca. Even if you just put in lh.ca, that'll work well enough. So easy to remember. That's our general website, but we've got a big link right on the main page to get to the wait time tracker.
Beautiful. Now we probably only have about 30 seconds left. What is your really brief advice as to determine whether you should go to emergency or whether you should just go to a walk-in clinic or an assessment center?
In 30 seconds or less, I think people have a good sense of their own health and trust yourself. If you are worried that you have a life-threatening problem, please come to ED. But if you know you have something that is been more chronic and you're aware of what that medical problem is, or it's something that you have a sense can be looked after in a less urgent setting, it will help the hospitals if people look towards their family doctors first or urgent care clinics to help reduce that load on hospitals, which is causing the long wait times and challenges us with our health human resource issues right now.
Beautiful. Elan, thank you so much for being on the show. It was wonderful information, and I'm really excited about the system that you have in place and how it's going to transform.
Terrific. Thanks for having me, Jackie. Bye now.
Thank you. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Think it's too late to become more fit? Think again. I'm personal trainer Karen Ross, specializing in 55 plus fitness. My mission is to help you find your way back to health and wellness. I'll give you the knowledge and the power to take control of your own fitness path. Everyone deserves quality of life for their entire life. Tune into A Little Bit Fit with me, Karen Ross, here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. With me on the show, I have brought back Edward Henry from Edward Henry Company, and we are talking about an incredible feat that Edward Henry just accomplished. So, Ed, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for having me on.
So, I understand you broke 2 podcast world records.
We did. It was last week. Started Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. and we finished up on Friday at 6 p.m.
Okay, so before we get into the details of this amazing podcast and this feat that you accomplished, tell me, what was your inspiration? And for those who didn't see the last episode that we did, what was the whole purpose behind this event?
Well, the whole purpose was to raise money for people who have been, for people in the East Coast that have been severely affected by Hurricane Fiona. Not so much that there isn't aid or support down there, but there's a lot of people that are just falling through the cracks, and there's financial there was financial consideration that needs to get down there to these people, and we're just trying to make every effort or create awareness to this problem and help as many people as we possibly can.
Now, this is going to be a question that you might think, okay, I could sit and answer that for the next hour. So just to try to summarize, why is the East Coast important to you?
Well, I'm from Cape Breton Island. I grew up in Whitney Pear, a community in Cape Breton Island. And yeah, I mean, when you're from the East Coast, you're from the East Coast. It doesn't matter what part. So seeing what happened to my home community and seeing what happened to other communities back there in the Atlantic Canada kind of just made me feel powerless. I had to do something. So this podcast and creating ideas to generate revenue, just using my sales skill and my ability to just gab and have the biggest mouth on the planet was the idea to raise some money. So.
Oh, I didn't know. Are you going for that world record too? Biggest mouth on the planet?
Well, I think 59 hours of a podcast kind of qualifies me there somewhere. Right?
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right there. You just automatically just get that one too. Yes. So now let's talk about this podcast. I understand that for a couple of years you were thinking about doing a podcast. You were like, yeah, I'd like to do one. And then Hurricane Fiona hit and you're, all right, so if we're going to do this, let's not do it small. Let's go big. So you did how many hours? 58?
59 hours. 59 hours we did. We literally have we literally broadcasted and we're on air every single hour. And yeah, we just literally did whatever we could to try to provide content, interviews, and make it the whole way through as entertaining and interesting as possible. And I hope we believe we established that. We made it fun, but yeah, I mean, it was got to be the hardest thing I've ever did.
Now, I understand you really didn't sleep much. Didn't you have to pretty much be awake for that entire time from Wednesday morning until Friday night?
There were nap opportunities during the break, but in total, I think we figured out that I slept maybe a little under 2 hours for the whole 59 hours. So it was, wow. There was times I was falling asleep during certain interviews where my head was hitting the mic and I was dozing off, and it was just, and I could barely keep my eyes open. Sometimes it was just, I was surprised that I was actually listening to some of the interviews and could actually hear it and conversate, but because it was by far the hardest thing I ever did.
Well, I had the pleasure of interviewing you for 4 different segments, and I was surprised how quick your brain was. Even in the home stretch, you were still rhyming stuff off. I was quite impressed with your endurance there and brain power that, you still had some. That was pretty amazing.
Well, the 59th hour, an interview with a gentleman by the name Dave Conway, he took whatever I had left and I tried to hang in there all the way through, and we did it. So I don't even know how we did it. I have no idea. I use a we thing because there were so many people involved.
Now, okay, you had amazing guest speakers on the show. Do you want to mention a few of them? So for those of you out there who don't know this podcast, it's called Extreme Economics. And you had sales gurus, motivational speakers. Yes. You had amazing people on the show. So we only have a minute left. I apologize. And I know you had a huge guest list, but mention a few of them to get people wanting to watch.
Sure. We had Canadian Marketing Royalty with Tony Chapman, who was on the show. And from the host of Chatter That Matters, we spoke with Jeffrey Gittimer and Jim Cathcart, who are world-renowned sales authors. We had a lot of people that really came out. You've helped out, a lot of volunteers. I can't even tell you how fortunate we are to be able to pull this off in such a short period of time.
Now, and I understand that you are still accepting donations. So this is the time you're still really pushing the people out east. They still need support, and that financial, the fundraising that you're bringing in is going to go directly to the support that's needed.
Correct. And the podcast is going to continue and release the current episodes that we have and also future episodes for the purpose of continuing to generate more money for Eastern Canada and our continued support towards this effort. Yes.
Beautiful. And just quick, what's the website that they go to? Is it edwardhenry.com?
Go to edwardhenry.com. Go to edwardhenry.com and you'll see the landing page. Just click right on there. You'll see Extreme Economics and how you can donate and watch the podcast.
Beautiful. Edward, it was great having you on the show. Well, maybe we'll have you again sometime. Thank you so much. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Summer days, summer nights, lots of things to do, places to go, and people to see. If you're having a few drinks, be sure to plan ahead and get home safely. We don't want to pick you up. Drinking drivers risk injuries to themselves and others and take chances with their license, their jobs, and their future. Remember what's at stake and choose your ride, whether you're the driver, the passenger, or the party host. Thanks for supporting sober driving. I hope we never meet.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Hey, I'm Chef Corey Dern, host of a show on Rogers TV Georgina called Cooking with Corey. Join me bi-weekly for brand new episodes where I teach you not only what to cook, but how to cook. The only thing missing is smell-o-vision. That's Cooking with Corey right here on Rogers TV Georgina.
Hi, I'm Angel Morgan, host of Raising Energy on Rogers TV. Join us in our live studio audience for free, fast-paced, and fun psychic readings just for you right here on Rogers.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So that is a wrap of another show. You might want to consider going to get your flu shot and your COVID booster shot. Now, apparently there's been some inconsistencies when talking to doctors or talking to pharmacists. Some are saying, if you just had COVID, you shouldn't get a flu shot. And others are saying, hey, it's totally okay. So I actually had a chance to talk to the MPP, Robin Martin, about this after the interview. And from the experts that they rely on for information to keep us safe, apparently you can get your flu shot and your COVID booster together at the same time. It doesn't matter if you have already had COVID, is the information that she provided us. So hopefully that helps. And if you want to make a donation for Hurricane Fiona to assist with the disaster recovery, you can go to edwardhenry.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
I'm sure right now a lot of you feel like you aren't able to be who you truly are.
What's most important, more important than everybody else knowing who you are, is that you know who you are.
As a young person, time moves slower for you. And just know that things will get better.
It Gets Better Canada is a registered Canadian charity with a focus on uplifting our queer youth through the power of digital storytelling.
As a Two-Spirit person, I use they, them pronouns, but that's not the case for every Two-Spirit person.
There are so many voices out there that we didn't have 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
No matter what your mind tells you, you really are perfect the way you are.